Hi, Jordan from Avid here at NAB 2019. I'm with Kevin Usher from our pre-sales team, who's going to tell us a little bit about the Intelligent Media Storage Pod.
Hi Jordan, and welcome to NAB 2019. So here we are on the Avid NEXIS storage demo pod, and what I'm showing here is the complete Avid NEXIS system. Now Avid NEXIS consists of a number of different storage engines of different capacities, different sizes, and as you can see here we can actually show different ones, different models, but they're integrated with the Avid NEXIS file system. So what we're showing here actually is a Nexus Pro System. This was actually designed for smaller configurations where customers only need to connect a few media composers or maybe third-party editing systems, Pro Tools audio, things like that. And so this is actually a configuration that has actually been specifically designed to address those smaller configuration needs. But it does actually scale out as well. So we've actually got this great capability to expand the system to a larger capacity and more performance. So as the needs change. So as their business grows and they have maybe the need to grow into doing UHD or 4K kind of edits and projects, then this is a good fit for those customers that just have a small number of connected users. It's actually up to 24, so it's actually a good fit for some smaller boutiques. But then we go into the enterprise configurations. Now, Avid NEXIS Enterprise is really where we get into the higher scalability and higher availability. So these systems are designed to actually be very modular and will give you a lot of flexibility in terms of the choice of capacity that you may need and the amount of performance and the number of connected users to Avid NEXIS. So at one extreme, we can have over 300 high-resolution connected users to Avid NEXIS, and we can grow to over 6 petabytes of production storage.
That's a lot of storage.
That's, which is really, really nice. I mean, but the nice thing is you see the different storage engines here. They have different capacity points, they have different performance characteristics, but they can all be mixed together. So an Avid NEXIS customer can start with a Nexus E2 engine, for example, which could have 20, 60 or 100 terabytes of capacity, can support 40 users, and we can stack up to 64 of these together to give you over 6 petabytes of storage for over 300 users. Or we can move to one of the larger capacity configurations like the Nexus E4 or the Nexus E5. So let me just take a moment just to show you, some of the configuration information around the Nexus E4. So actually the E stands for enterprise and the 4 is actually the rack unit size. So let me just take this and just show you some of the details around this. So I'm just going to click on this and show you, this is actually the rear panel or the reverse side of the Nexus E4 engine. And in here, we actually have 4 redundant power supplies. The actual engine will actually run on 2, so if we have 2 failures, it will continue to run. And one of the features of the Nexus high availability configuration is every storage engine can have 2 separate storage controllers. Now these storage controllers are actually hot swap storage blades. These are actually CPUs. But the great thing is they're actually, you have the ability to, if you have a failure, to pull the bad controller out, put a new one in. All the configuration information is pulled in from the mirrored SSDs that are inside here that store the metadata and file system and configuration information, and it reconfigures the system.
So you can replace that without replacing the entire unit?
That's correct, yeah. So other competitive systems are still using internal motherboards, and obviously if you have a hardware failure there, then you have to replace the whole engine. So every component in the Avid NEXIS enterprise system is redundant and hot swap. So all the disk drives, the power supplies, the controllers are all hot swap, field replaceable components. Now, if I just go back one step in this is actually when I take off the front bezel of the Nexus E4 engine. This actually consists of 24 drives, of which 2 are mirrored SSD disks, which are hot swap, and they host the Nexus file system and metadata, and any configuration information. We also have 2 hot spare media disks, so in the event of a media drive failure, the file system will automatically use one of the hot spare disks to do an automated recovery. Now the other disk drives are actually hard disk drives. There are 20 of them in the E4 engine. So this can potentially scale to support up to 100 terabytes of raw capacity. but it is configurable. So in the Nexus Enterprise system, we have the concept of a media pack, and a media pack in Nexus is 10 disk drives. So we can have a 20 terabyte media pack, a 60 terabyte media pack, or a 100 terabyte media pack, and this E4 actually hosts 2 media packs. So we can have 20, 20, 60, 60, 100 in total.
So with the Nexus Pro or with the enterprise level, we can just really customize. There's not sort of a small, medium, large. We have a lot of different solutions to get the right amount of storage for whatever you need, even if it fluctuates.
Yeah. So we would spend some time with each customer trying to understand what their workflow is, what their user requirements are in terms of performance, connectivity, and capacity. And we will actually configure the system to fulfill what their needs are. But that's just the beginning. As their business expands, as their business grows, they can expand their Nexus system, and it's really easy to expand. You can add additional engines to the system, and you can also expand to support many, many more connected users. So I'm just going to go back to the original homepage here, just show you the stack of storage. Just one last thing here, this is a Nexus E5 engine. This is designed for very high density applications. So in 5 rack units, we can have up to 800 terabytes of storage. So any customer that needs a lot of capacity and doesn't have a lot of rack space, actually the Nexus E5 is a good fit. And finally, the Nexus E5 Nearline. This is a storage solution we launched last year. This is designed for nearline. It's like a library where you can free up space on your production storage, move it into the nearline. If you integrate the Nexus system with Avid Media Central, anybody can browse the media assets on the nearline system. And the nearline system with Nexus will grow to over 7 petabytes of storage. So it's a huge library of media, particularly it's suited for sort of mid to large size customers. The start point for this is about, it scales from about 150, 160 terabytes, then scales up to almost a petabyte of storage in one physical engine. So it's a huge space saver for our customers.
So a wealth of storage over here. Do you want to also show us what's new and exciting over here?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just walk over here with you. So what we're showing here is the Avid Nexus Management Console. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Avid Nexus, if you've never seen it before, this is accessible through a web browser. So any standard web browser, whether it's Safari or Google, you can point to the Nexus file system and it will open up the Nexus Management Console. Now, what we have here is a dashboard. It really is showing the status and condition of the system. So at a glance, the customer can see who's connected, how much performance is being used, how much capacity is being used, and is the system reporting any errors? So it's a quick dashboard glance of what's going on. I'm going to take a little step into some of the characteristics of the file system and how the users can actually manage the system, create users on the system, and also create what we call storage workspaces. So Nexus is actually a virtual storage system. We've already seen the physical aspects of the Nexus system, but the file system will virtualize all the hardware components into a pool of virtual storage. And inside there, we create these virtual workspaces. So what I'm going to show you now, I'm just going to jump to the storage tab here, and I'm going to look at workspaces. And what you see here is a list of workspaces that we've already created on this particular Nexus system. Now, a workspace is just some virtual capacity that we've allocated to individual users or individual projects or teams or groups of people. And in a Nexus storage space here, it's some amount of capacity that the system administrator can allocate to that particular person, group, or team. Now, if I just point to this audio workspace, for example, it opens up and shows you a graphical display as well as some details around the name of the storage workspace. So just very quickly, I'll show you one of the very neat features of Nexus, and this is actually the ability to dynamically resize storage workspaces. So I can actually go into a Nexus workspace, I can increase or decrease the capacity just by moving a slider, And this does not affect the user. Anybody that is actually using that workspace, it has no impact on them at all.
So they can be working and you can give them more storage instantaneously?
Instantaneously, or I can take storage off them. So, but a good example of that is if when we allocated the original storage space, we may have given them too much storage and they're not using it, we can reduce it, and that frees up space for other projects and other users. So it's a very dynamic and flexible way of allocating and managing storage in Avid NEXIS. So in here we've got the graphical display. We can resize workspaces. If I create workspaces for a new one, for example, I can create a username. I can actually make it the workspace in the cloud, which I'll talk about in a moment, or I can have it on-premise. That means it's actually on the storage system that's within your facility. I can add or change the capacity, and I can put triggers in, so if we begin to use up that storage space and it hits a certain point, we can flag an alarm or a warning or an email or something like that. And then we can also give access privileges to those workspaces. So these are a bunch of users that we've already created on Nexus, and with this workspace, for example, I can say, Kevin is a user, and I'm going to say I have full access to this workspace. So I can digitize or I can play back from this workspace. But other users can also have access privileges if I give them to those users. So that's how we simply create a workspace. It's really intuitive, very simple to use. You don't need to be an engineer or a technician to manage the Nexus system. The management console has actually been designed to be used by non-technical people. If you're a production user, it's really simple to use. So one of the other new things here at NAB 2019 for Avid NEXIS is called Avid NEXIS Cloudspaces. Now this is really terrific. It's a new subscription service for Avid NEXIS provided by Avid. It allows any Nexus user, any Avid NEXIS customer, whether it's Nexus Pro all the way through to Enterprise, whether it's a new system or an existing system, they can enable Avid NEXIS Cloudspaces. And what this actually does is your on-premise storage is augmented by some cloud space. And Avid provides that whole subscription service, which includes the creation of the cloud storage and also all the management and billing and the integration. And the cloud spaces are managed by the Nexus user interface. So you don't have to go to a third-party system to actually manage the cloud spaces. It's all done through Nexus. So one of the new features of Cloudspaces is a new cloud dashboard. And at a glance, this will show you how many cloud spaces or the capacity in the cloud that you're using, the capacity plan or subscription plan that you've purchased, how much download capacity you're using, and how much performance is being used for upload and download. So again, an at-the-glance dashboard of what's going on with your cloud spaces. If I now just go back to my storage workspace tab again, you can see there's a little icon here of a little cloud. So this is designated, this is a cloud space. So let me show you how easy it is to create a cloud space. Once you have activated Avid NEXIS Cloud Spaces, you've enabled it on the system, you go to your Create Workspace tab, you give the workspace a name, we'll just keep this one simple. It's going to land in the cloud. I'm going to give this a certain capacity, and I can allocate user access privileges to individual people. So I'm going to choose my name again, just to make it easy. And I've got full read-write access to this cloud space. I save it, and then you can see it's created this new cloud space. So the whole management console, the Nexus management console, is not only managing the on-premise storage, it's actually managing cloud spaces as well that are actually up in the cloud service provider. But Avid actually provides that whole subscription process. And actually an even better thing is any Avid NEXIS user has access to a free subscription of 2 terabytes of capacity and half a terabyte of download for up to 3 months. So this is a trial version of Cloudspaces that any Nexus customer can have access to.
It's something they already have that they didn't even realize?
Absolutely. It's something new for NAB. Actually, they do need to install the latest Avid NEXIS software, which is 2019.4. Once that's implemented, they activate the Cloudspaces, and there we go. It's all there. But they can activate this free Cloudspace account for 3 months, 2 terabytes of capacity, and it's free.
Well, you heard it here. A lot of news down at the NAB booth, or at the Avid booth at NAB 2019. Come see us.